and give me all I've got coming to me.
The country music male vocalist of the year, again, Merle Haggard.
Merle Haggard, the American country music singer and guitarist, shut down the music industry with his impressive records and performances. Though plagued from his childhood with a bad record and rebellion, his passion couldn't be deterred. After many years since his passing, Merle Haggard's wife, now 84, is finally mustering the courage to confirm what we thought all along. What exactly did she reveal? Join us in this video as we uncover the dark sides that existed beyond the stage of this talented icon. Before we delve in, let's take a moment to look at his early beginnings and rise to stardom. Early life of Merle Haggard. Merle Haggard's life was shaped by significant challenges and hardships, which deeply influenced his character and music. Born on April 6, 1937 in Oildale, California, he arrived during the Great Depression. His parents, James and Flossie Haggard, had come to California from Oklahoma, part of the wave of Dust Bowl refugees seeking a better life. They lived in a modest, repurposed boxcar that offered basic shelter but little comfort. Despite their financial struggles, the family stayed close and hoped for a brighter future. Tragedy struck the Haggard family in 1946 when Merle was just 9 years old. His father, James, died suddenly from a brain hemorrhage. Merle was devastated by the loss, having looked up to his father greatly. Reflecting on this period in an interview with Rolling Stone, Haggard expressed that his father's death left a void in his life that he could never fully fill. This profound loss led to feelings of abandonment and insecurity that would affect him throughout his life. Without his father, Merle sought comfort in music, a passion that would define his future. Despite his family's lack of interest in music, his parents didn't appreciate it, and his mother disapproved of entertainers. Merle was drawn to country music. He began sneaking into local music venues, captivated by performances from country legends like the Maddox Brothers and Rose and Lefty Frizzell. These early experiences sparked his lifelong love for country music and set the stage for his future success in the genre. At the same time, Haggard's life took a troubled turn. The turmoil from his father's death led him to rebel and engage in a life of petty crime. By age 11, he was already in trouble, involved in theft and other misdemeanors. His mother, unable to manage his erratic behavior, eventually turned him over to the authorities, labeling him as incorrigible. This period of his life was marked by conflict and difficulty, setting the stage for the complex character and music that would define his career. How then was he able to start up his career successfully, and what does his wife have to say years after his death? Keep watching to find out. Haggard's criminal records. Haggard's teenage years were marked by frequent run-ins with the law. He became a regular at California's juvenile detention centers, being arrested multiple times for various offenses. His time in these facilities was often disrupted by his numerous escape attempts. He claimed to have escaped custody around 17 times. Despite his rebellious nature, Haggard was aware of the consequences of his actions, but felt trapped in a cycle he couldn't break. The peak of his criminal activities occurred in 1957, when he was arrested for attempted robbery and sentenced to San Quentin State Prison. At just 20 years old, Haggard faced the harsh reality of imprisonment, and he ended up spending 3 years behind bars. However, this time in prison became a turning point for Haggard. While at San Quentin, he saw a performance by Johnny Cash, which had a profound impact on him. The performance was eye-opening for Haggard, showing him that music could be a path out of his troubled life and offer a chance for redemption. When Haggard was released from prison in 1960, he was determined to leave his criminal past behind and focus on music. He started performing in local clubs and honky-tonks, gradually building a reputation as a talented singer and songwriter. His songs, often inspired by his own hardships, struck a chord with audiences. Haggard's genuine, heartfelt style and deep, expressive voice helped him stand out in the country music scene, earning him a dedicated following. How was Haggard able to transit from prison to stardom? Let's find out. Haggard's transformation and career hits. Merle Haggard's big break came in the mid-1960s when he signed with Capitol Records. This deal led to a series of successful hits that secured his place in country music history. Songs like Mama Tried, The Fugitive, and Okie from Muskogee became iconic, resonating with a wide audience. Haggard's ability to merge personal stories with broader social themes made his music particularly compelling. His songs reflected the struggles of everyday people, especially those who, like him, had faced challenges and were seeking a new direction in life. In his 2011 autobiography, My House of Memories, Haggard shared a pivotal moment that greatly influenced his life. He recounted a time when a friend tried to convince him to escape from prison once more. This time, Haggard decided against it. His friend went ahead with the escape attempt, which tragically resulted in the death of a highway patrolman. The friend was eventually sentenced to death and executed. This event deeply shook Haggard and reinforced his commitment to change his life for the better. Haggard's time in prison was marked by other transformative experiences. While serving his sentence, he had the opportunity to attend a live performance by Johnny Cash, who performed for the inmates at San Quentin. This performance left a lasting impression on Haggard. In his autobiography, he described how the performance captivated the prisoners and how Cash made a real effort to connect with them. Haggard admitted that he had not been a fan of Cash's music before, but was moved by how Cash engaged with the audience. This encounter inspired Haggard and played a significant role in his decision to pursue music more seriously. The two eventually became close friends, and Haggard's devotion was evident even in Cash's final days. When Cash was in the hospital, Haggard visited him dressed in a doctor's coat and expressed his love and support. After his release on parole in 1960, Haggard focused on music, something he had neglected for a long time. He spent his Saturdays dedicated to his music career, finding small gigs and working hard to establish himself. One pivotal moment occurred when a stranger named Jack Ivers showed up at Haggard's house with an opportunity. Ivers was looking for a new band member because their lead singer had left. Haggard accepted the offer and joined the band. They performed together regularly, which helped Haggard gain valuable experience and start his music career. He later reflected that this small gig was the beginning of his successful journey in music. In the early 1960s, Haggard's efforts paid off when he signed with Capitol Records. His first major hit, Sing a Sad Song, reached number 19 on the Billboard country charts in January 1964. While it didn't make him a household name right away, it set him on the path to greater success. What were some of Haggard's impacts apart from music? Keep watching to find out. Haggard's political work. Merle Haggard continued to be a cherished figure in country music, admired not only for his exceptional musical skills but also for his genuine nature. He was never afraid to acknowledge his mistakes and struggles. Instead, he incorporated these personal experiences into his music, creating songs that spoke to the common human experience and connected deeply with listeners. Haggard's political views added to his enigmatic character. He was a complex individual who defied simple labels. For example, his songs Okie from Muskogee and The Fightin' Side of Me were popular among conservative audiences. However, Haggard also voiced significant concerns about the direction of the country and the difficulties faced by ordinary people. He once expressed a profound ambivalence about America, saying he was both deeply disturbed with our country and deeply in love with it. This quote reflected the conflicting emotions many felt during times of national unrest. Haggard's music mirrored this complexity. On the surface, his songs might have seemed straightforward, but they were actually layered with deeper meanings. They explored themes like patriotism, disillusionment, and the quest for personal and national identity. Through his music, Haggard conveyed the rich, often contradictory emotions that many people experienced, making his work resonate on multiple levels. Haggard's achievements and awards. Throughout his career, Merle Haggard received numerous accolades from major music organizations, including the Academy of Country Music, the Country Music Association, and the Grammy Awards. He was inducted into the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame in 1977, the Country Music Hall of Fame in 1994, and the Oklahoma Music Hall of Fame in 1997. In 2006, Haggard earned a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award and was named a BMI icon. By then, he had won 48 BMI Country Awards, 9 BMI Pop Awards, a BMI R&B Award, and 16 BMI Millionaire Awards for his songs, which had been performed over 25 million times. On December 4, 2010, Haggard received a Kennedy Center honor for his significant contribution to American culture. The following day, a tribute gala featured performances by several notable artists, including Chris Christopherson, Willie Nelson, and Sheryl Crow. This tribute was aired on CBS later that month. In July 2007, a stretch of 7th Standard Road in Oildale, California was renamed Merle Haggard Drive in his honor. Haggard helped fund the road signage changes by performing 2 benefit shows. Additionally, the boxcar where Haggard's family lived was moved to the Kern County Museum in 2015 for preservation. On November 6, 2013, he received the key to the city of Winchester, Virginia, after a concert there. Earlier that year, on June 14, California State University, Bakersfield awarded him an honorary Doctor of Fine Arts degree. Haggard performed his famous song, "Okie from Muskogee," at the 2014 Grammy Awards, joined by Chris Christopherson, Willie Nelson, and Blake Shelton. In 2023, Rolling Stone listed him as number 138 on its list of the 200 greatest singers of all time. Now, what was Haggard's personal life like? Let's find out. Haggard's personal life. Merle Haggard's personal life was as complex and turbulent as the themes he often explored in his music. Throughout his life, he experienced 5 marriages, each one bringing its own mix of passion, conflict, and, in some cases, lasting companionship. These marriages were closely linked with his career and personal struggles, mirroring the ups and downs of his journey from a troubled youth to a country music icon. Haggard's first marriage was to Leona Hobbs in 1956, when he was only 19 years old. They had 4 children together: Dana, Marty, Kelly, and Noel. Despite the initial promise of their union, their marriage soon became marked by constant fighting and physical abuse. Both Haggard and Leona were deeply affected by their difficult circumstances, Haggard by his troubled past, and Leona by the challenges of being with a man with a criminal record and a volatile nature. Their relationship was often turbulent, with public incidents like Leona beating Haggard in public and even jumping out of a moving car to escape him. A major strain on their marriage came during Haggard's incarceration at San Quentin. While he was in prison, Leona became pregnant by another man, which deeply hurt Haggard and increased the tension between them. After his release, Haggard struggled to move past this betrayal, particularly as Leona was reported to have mocked him in front of her new partner. This led to a particularly grim moment when Haggard, in a fit of rage, assaulted and choked Leona. He later remembered thinking that this might lead him back to death row. This incident marked the end of their marriage, and they divorced in 1964. Following his first marriage, Haggard found love again with singer Bonnie Owens, who became his second wife in 1965. Bonnie, the ex-wife of country music star Buck Owens, was a significant influence on Haggard's career. She supported him personally and professionally, helping him navigate the music industry and contributing to some of his biggest hits. Their collaboration led to a series of successful albums and singles, including classics like "Today I Started Loving You Again" and "Sing Me Back Home." Despite their successful professional partnership, their marriage eventually faced challenges. The pressures of fame, combined with Haggard's struggles with substance abuse and infidelity, took a toll on their relationship. They divorced in 1978 after 13 years of marriage. Even after their romantic relationship ended, Bonnie and Haggard maintained a strong bond. Bonnie continued to tour with Haggard as his backup singer until her death in 2006, and Haggard often credited her with helping him achieve significant successes in his career. Their relationship, though imperfect, was marked by deep, mutual respect and affection, and Bonnie's impact on Haggard's life and music was profound. Haggard's third marriage was to fellow country singer Leona Williams in 1978, shortly after his divorce from Bonnie Owens. This marriage was fraught with conflict from the beginning. Both Haggard and Williams had strong personalities, which led to frequent arguments and misunderstandings. Haggard later admitted that he wasn't emotionally ready to make the marriage work, and they divorced in 1983 after 5 years. Despite the difficulties, Williams remained an important part of Haggard's life, and they continued to work together musically after their divorce. Haggard's fourth marriage was to Debbie Parrott in 1985. This marriage was brief and less publicized than his previous ones, ending in divorce in 1991 after only a few years. Little is known about their relationship, but it's clear that Haggard was still dealing with personal issues, including substance abuse and the emotional aftermath of his previous marriages. It wasn't until Haggard's fifth and final marriage to Teresa Ann Lane in 1993 that he found the stability and companionship he had long sought. Teresa, who was 25 years younger than Haggard, brought him a sense of peace and support that had been missing in his earlier relationships. The couple had 2 children together, Janessa and Ben, and stayed married until Haggard's death in 2016. Teresa played a crucial role in supporting Haggard through the later years of his life, helping him deal with health issues and the demands of his career. Haggard often spoke of Teresa with deep affection, crediting her with helping him find happiness in his final years. Their marriage, unlike his previous ones, was characterized by mutual understanding and partnership. Unfortunately, Haggard was also battling with a growing personal internal demons. What was it about, and how did it affect him? Keep watching to find out. Revelations on Haggard's dark side and struggle with addiction. Haggard's struggles with substance abuse were not new to him. Like many artists of his time, the pressures of fame and life on the road led him to rely more and more on substance. At first, he used them to handle the intense demands of his career and the deep emotional wounds from his past. However, what started as a coping mechanism soon turned into a serious addiction that almost ruined his life and career. In his memoir, My House of Memories, Haggard opened up about this tough period in his life. He shared his experiences with complete honesty, not just for his own relief, but also to serve as a warning for his children. Haggard admitted he was sharing these personal details with some reluctance, fully aware that his kids would read them. He felt it was crucial for them to understand the full truth. I said early in this book that I reluctantly confess these things about myself, knowing my children will read them, he wrote. He was aware of the seriousness of exposing such intimate parts of his life, but he believed that being honest was essential. Haggard hoped that by sharing his story, his children would understand the dangers of substance abuse and learn from his mistakes. Even though Haggard had worked hard to overcome his struggles with substances, his past issues unexpectedly became a topic of public discussion many years later. In 2015, country singer Luke Bryan stirred up controversy with a comment he made during an interview. He compared himself to the legendary outlaw country stars like Haggard, saying, "I think that people who want Merle, Willie, and Waylon just need to buy Merle, Willie, and Waylon. I'm not an outlaw country singer. I don't do cocaine and run around, so I'm not going to sing outlaw country." This statement, which referenced the substance use that was part of the outlaw country image, upset many fans. They felt Bryan's remark was disrespectful to Haggard and other artists of that era. The reaction from fans was immediate and intense. Many took to social media to criticize Bryan for linking Haggard's name to his comments in a negative way. The backlash was so strong that Bryan felt he needed to apologize to Haggard's son, Ben. he reached out to explain that he hadn't meant to offend or disrespect anyone. What other revelations about Merle Haggard is saddening? Keep watching to know more. Haggard's financial woes. During the early 1990s, Haggard faced significant financial troubles, culminating in a bankruptcy filing in 1992. Although he had encountered financial issues before, this time it was particularly devastating. The bankruptcy came on the same day his fifth wife, Teresa Ann Lane, gave birth to their son, Ben. The contrast of celebrating the birth of a new child while dealing with financial collapse was especially difficult for Haggard. This challenging moment forced him to take a close look at his life and career. The bankruptcy was a major wake-up call for Haggard, who had always prided himself on his independence and ability to handle the ups and downs of the music business. It was a humbling experience that made him realize how fragile success could be and highlighted the need to manage his resources more carefully. In the interviews that followed, Haggard talked openly about how this experience changed him. It gave him a new sense of responsibility and a renewed dedication to both his family and his music. Despite these setbacks, Haggard's determination and resilience helped him overcome the difficulties of the 1980s and early 1990s. His marriage to Teresa provided him with the stability and support he needed during this tough period, and their growing family became a source of strength for him. Haggard continued to make music that connected with his fans, drawing from the rich experiences of his life. His story is one of survival and redemption, marked by both successes and struggles. Haggard's willingness to confront and share his personal challenges, including his battles with addiction and financial problems, added a deep, authentic quality to his music. His legacy is not only one of musical greatness but also of human resilience, the ability to face and overcome life's toughest moments. What then led to his death? Let's find out. Haggard's health challenges. In the final years of his life, Merle Haggard faced a series of serious health problems that might have slowed down many people. However, despite the heavy toll these issues took on his body, Haggard remained dedicated to his true passion, music. His entire life had been devoted to his craft, and he wasn't about to let age or illness take that away from him without a fight. One of the most severe health crises he encountered occurred in late 2015 and early 2016, when he was diagnosed with pneumonia. This was not a mild case, but a serious, life-threatening condition that made it hard for him to breathe and left him feeling extremely weak. The pneumonia affected both of his lungs, with doctors noting that the infected areas were about the size of grapefruits on each side. For someone who had always been active, even in his later years, this was a devastating blow. Haggard had been dealing with frequent coughing fits for some time before his diagnosis, but he had dismissed them and pushed through the discomfort because of his commitment to his work. His dedication to performing was so strong that even as his health worsened, he continued to tour. He believed that singing and performing were actually beneficial to his health. He said, "I always felt better after I'd worked because of the exercise that it gave to my lungs. When I play, I feel better when I come off." This reflected his deep bond with music, which was more than just a career for him. It was his lifeline. It wasn't until he felt as if he were suffocating before a performance that Haggard finally sought medical help. The experience was extremely frightening and challenging. For someone who had already faced numerous difficulties throughout his life, this was one of the hardest moments he had to endure. Even when facing a severe health crisis, Haggard's determination remained strong. After being discharged from the hospital, he wasted no time in planning his return to the stage. By early 2016, at the age of 78, he expressed his optimism to Rolling Stone, saying he was great to be alive after such a close brush with danger. Just days after leaving the hospital, he was already preparing for a tour showcasing his unwavering dedication to his music and his fans. Throughout his life, Haggard was known for his resilience. He had faced numerous personal and professional challenges, but had always managed to come out stronger. Despite his tough exterior, he was also deeply introspective and aware of the complexities of his life. He was a man of contradictions, both strong and sensitive, rebellious and thoughtful, with deep flaws yet profound insights. Reflecting on his journey, Haggard once said, "It never has been fun being Merle Haggard. I've had lots of peaks and valleys." This statement captures the essence of his life, a mix of remarkable successes and significant struggles. What then was the aftermath of his death? Stay tuned as we unveil these details. Aftermath of his death and grief. When Haggard passed away on April 6, 2016, on what would have been his 79th birthday, the world lost more than just a country music legend. We lost a man whose life was as authentic and heartfelt as the songs he performed. The widespread outpouring of grief from fans and fellow musicians underscored the profound impact he had on so many people. Prominent figures like Dolly Parton, Willie Nelson, and Clint Eastwood publicly paid tribute to Haggard, each recognizing the special role he played in their lives and in the music industry. Even Ringo Starr, the drummer for the Beatles, shared his condolences on Twitter, saying, "God bless Merle Haggard, peace and love to all his family. Merle was a hero of mine, peace and love." This tweet captured the widespread sense of loss felt by many. Haggard himself once reflected on his life with remarkable insight. In an interview, he spoke about the restlessness that had always been a part of him, saying, "There is a restlessness in my soul that I've never conquered, not with motion, marriages, or meaning. It's still there to a degree, and it will be till the day I die." These words reveal a lot about who Merle Haggard was, a man who was always searching and questioning, yet always true to himself. Even as he approached the end of his life, that inner restlessness and drive to keep moving forward never left him. What are some of the revelations Haggard's wife has to say about his death? And what does his wife now confirm? Keep watching to find out. Teresa speaks on Merle Haggard's death and confirms the rumors. When Merle Haggard died on April 6, 2016, which was also his 79th birthday, his wife Teresa was heartbroken. She described her profound grief, saying, "I'm just now picking myself up out of the dirt and I'm barely walking because I lost everything. He was my world." Haggard's 5 marriages were as complex and layered as he was. Each marriage was characterized by intense emotions, including deep love and significant challenges. These relationships left a lasting impact on Haggard, shaping both his personal life and his music. Despite the hardships he encountered, Haggard's persistent search for love and companionship highlighted his resilience and faith in the possibility of redemption, a theme that deeply permeates his music and legacy. Before the term outlaw country even existed, Haggard had already earned a place in its history by challenging the norms of the country music industry. In the late 1960s and early 1970s, he released several politically charged and controversial songs that defied industry expectations. One of his most famous hits, "Okie from Muskogee," took a stand against the counterculture movement of the 1960s, opposing the hippie lifestyle. This song was embraced by conservative Americans, particularly those who supported President Nixon in the Vietnam War. Following the success of "Okie from Muskogee," Haggard released another politically assertive song, "The Fightin' Side of Me." This track criticized anti-war protesters, accusing them of being unpatriotic. While these songs were hugely popular among conservatives, they were met with considerable backlash from liberals. Despite the strong political messages in his songs, Merle Haggard eventually became ambivalent about how they were received. He saw "Okie from Muskogee" less as a reflection of his own beliefs and more as an expression of the sentiments held by some of his fellow countrymen. For example, while "Okie from Muskogee" famously criticized marijuana use, Haggard himself was a regular user. He admitted that the song's success was due to reasons he didn't fully understand. Like Johnny Cash, who was known for his performances in prisons, Haggard also made it a point to perform at correctional facilities. He recalled how Johnny Cash's prison concert at San Quentin had a profound effect on him, leading him to return to the prison several times to perform. He also played at other institutions like Fort Leavenworth, Huntsville, and women's prisons. Haggard explained in an interview with Rolling Stone that performing in prisons required adapting to the audience's preferences. He said, "You kind of let them direct you. They sometimes are adamant about an area of your career that you might not even be aware of. They want something that you might have forgotten about. They're in charge of their show and they know it. And I let them know it. They just kind of help me along." Merle Haggard's life was a mix of successes and struggles. The 1980s in particular were a difficult period for him. What do you think about Merle Haggard and the revelations of his wife? Tell us below. Thank you for watching this video. We hope you found it interesting. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Click the next video shown on your screen to catch up on your favorite celebrity stories. See you there.